Yo, Merry Christmas. Well, day before, because I decided to do this episode, but I also decided to release it Christmas Eve, obviously, because here we are. So, that being said, the title of today's episode, His Favorite Christmas Story, actually comes from a song by the band Capital Lights. It goes, he met her up in Delaware in 1937. She was wearing red lipstick to match her pretty dress. December 24th at a quarter till 11, he finally got the courage to ask me to dance. That is, like, one of my favorite Christmas songs. That being said, a lot of times people associate this time of year with the birth of Christ. The birth of Christ is very important because, obviously, we get him from it, but one thing that I think we forget is, yes, the birth is important. It's not that we're supposed to remember, so to speak. Obviously, like, it's in the Bible. Definitely needs to be something of key importance, right? But we're going to look at Jesus' words himself today. I'm jumping way ahead. We're going to actually kind of reverse engineer today's episode because I want to get the important stuff at the beginning before people decide to swipe away, which they probably already have. But if you are here and committed to listening to this, I hope you enjoy this particular episode. So, we're going to be going to Luke 22:19 first. Luke 22:19. Hope you all are well, by the way. Luke 22:19 says, and he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. What does the bread represent? Represents his broken body. Let's continue on for a second. And likewise, the cup after they had eaten, saying, this cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. But behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table. For the Son of Man goes as it has been determined, but woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. We're still, okay, there were two character studies that I didn't get to last year. They're still coming, Judas being one of the two. That being said, at this point here, he's talking about how he's getting ready to be nailed to the cross with those two things, right? And we have the Lord's Supper instituted from this. Christ's death, burial, and resurrection is the most important part. And I'm fine with celebrating Christ's birth. How could I not be? Because without Christ's birth, you don't have the resurrection, right? Okay, so we have to have that, right? However, I want to look at something else because it puts a lot of things into perspective. We're going to go to Matthew 17:4. And Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. He was still speaking. Behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, this is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were terrified. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, rise and have no fear. And when they lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only. And as they were coming down the mountain, Jesus commanded them, tell no one the vision until the Son of Man is raised from the dead. So don't tell anybody about this until after my mission, for lack of a better term at the moment, is complete. Up there on the Mount of Transfiguration, we have, or the Transfiguration on the Mount, however you want to word it, we have Jesus talking with Moses and Elijah. I don't want to like focus too much on that moment at this particular time. We'll do a whole episode on it eventually, but we're going to kick that can down the road. Peter wanted to put significance on this particular moment. And Jesus said, nah, dude. Why is that so important? Why is it so important that we didn't put significance on that? Well, we're going to look at another thing where the apostles were not thinking of. Let's look at Mark 10:37. And they said to him, grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory. Jesus said to them, you do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? Okay, ruminate on this for a second because we got one more. We're going to go back a little bit to Mark 9:33 through 37 real quick. Which 9 is also where the Mount of Transfiguration is in Mark. So they see all that, and then it's like they immediately kind of forget it all. But we're going to start off actually in 30 instead of 33. They went on from there and passed through Galilee, and he did not want anyone to know, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, the Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and when he is killed, after 3 days he will rise. So giving them the instruction of what's going to happen, right? Like this is what's coming. But they did not understand the saying, and were afraid to ask him. And they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, what were you discussing on the way? But they kept silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. Real humble, guys. Real humble. Great job. And he said to them, and he sat down and called the 12. And he said to them, if anyone would be first, he must be last of all, and servant of all. And he took a child and put him in the midst of them. And taking him in his arms, he said to them, whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me. So, man has a tendency to put importance on things that are not important. We're really good at that. I do it myself. We get caught up in what we think is important, and we don't realize that it's really not that big of a deal. Not trying to make light of Christ's birth, because obviously without the birth you don't have the death. It's not supposed to be some sort of holiday. Matter of fact, Christ's birth, if you really wanted to argue it, would have been done in the spring because of where the sheep are and with the shepherds in the fields and all that stuff. And we could do an in-depth dive on that, but I'm not trying to keep you here for a long period of time because it is Christmas. We do have other things going on today as far as a whole, like as people. And I understand that. So I just want to give you a quick, good Bible study and hope you have a wonderful day. It is Wednesday, so hopefully your congregation is having a midweek get-together to where you can get together and be with those of like faith. Not because of it being the reason for the season, but because it is a great way to get a refresher and to go into tomorrow spending time with family. But it would be in the wrong time period. More than anything, what this time of year should be is a time to spend time together with family and friends, enjoying each other's company, enjoying the spirit of Christmas, I guess, for lack of a better term. And what I mean by that is giving, being cheerful, blah, 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 blah. The usual Christmas junk, right? But just because our focus shouldn't be on Christ's birth at this time, we're commanded to once a week remember his death. And we're actually going to turn over to Corinthians here in just a minute to kind of continue on with that thought. But we're commanded to remember his death once a week. But on top of that, we also need to be having a Jesus is the reason for every season mindset. Not just this time of year or whatever. We need to treat others with kindness and whatnot and follow his teachings all the time. Not just be thinking about it at this time of year because of whatever. God is good. While we're with our friends and family, we should spend some time in prayer. We should spend some time talking about God because him and his son mean something to us. That's why we should be, that's how we should be focusing on God. Not why, but how. He sent his son to die for us. That's a big deal. Obviously, his birth starts it all. I've said that like 6 times now. But once we get to this understanding, we can only grow. Again, what should I study? Like we talked about in the last episode. Thank you guys so much. Looking forward to hanging out with y'all on the next one. And have a good day.